gentleman yields. The chair recognizes the ranking member of the committee, Mr. Pallone, for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I have to disagree with the administrator's vision. I don't think anyone in America voted last November to ask the government to harm their health and safety. And if you're talking about grocery prices, they're not lower, they're higher. And if you talk about our energy dominance, that has to be linked to clean energy, which you and the Trump administration just are completely getting rid of. And if you talk about getting a permit, well, under the reconciliation bill, which is the reason I think most of our colleagues aren't here on the other side of the aisle, is because the president is here trying to convince them to vote for that garbage. And under that bill, if you just pay $1 million, I guess that's for the LNG permit, or you pay $10 million for a pipeline permit, then you automatically get the permit and you don't have to go through any kind of EPA review whatsoever, because the permit and the payment of the check is deemed in the public interest. So, you know, you've undertaken multiple waves of utterly arbitrary and harmful cuts to important programs and grants. Thankfully, courts have recognized that your actions are illegal and have ordered a hold on these mass terminations and withholding of funds unless you could show that grants were only terminated after an individual review. And EPA officials have attempted to exploit that loophole by asserting that grants have been individually reviewed without offering evidence to support such claims. Fortunately, the courts have not been falling for it. One judge recently wrote that even after reviewing thousands of pages of documents produced by the EPA, there was not a single document demonstrating an individual review of any individual grantee. In another case, an EPA official submitted a sworn declaration stating that, and I'm quoting now, EPA leadership conducting an individualized grant-by-grant review to determine which grants should continue, which should be modified, and which should be terminated. But a declaration in a separate case indicates that another Trump appointee in a single day conducted a review and determined that 9 entire programs constituting hundreds of grants should be terminated. And I'd ask unanimous consent to enter the declarations of Daniel Coogan and Travis Boyles into the record. Mr. Chairman, these are actually court records. There are 2 EPA Trump employees that have contradicted each other, in my opinion, on individual review issue. In any case, if I'll hold them so I can reference them if necessary and then give them to you, Mr. Chairman. If that's okay.
Is it the complete transcript of their testimony or just an affidavit?
Transcript of their
So
testimony.
if it's a complete transcript, then that
All right,
should be
thank you,
acceptable.
Mr. Chairman. But I want to clear this up with a question of the administrator. Please explain what, if any, process EPA has undertaken to individually review grants prior to their termination, who was involved in that process, and what records exist documenting the supposed process of this review for each individual terminated grant, if you could.
That's been an extensive process. First, it's important to point out that one of the 2 employees you mentioned are actually a career EPA employee. It's not a Trump political appointee. When we came in, we started working with the career staff that was here previously. That includes career staff involved with oversight or lack thereof of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund.
But Mr. Zeldin, I know, because I'm going to be cut off by the chairman, not that he's trying to do it, but the time is there. I would like what records exist documenting the supposed process of this review for each individual terminated grant. If you can't give that to me today, then I would ask that you submit it through the chairman in the future, as soon as possible. Would that be okay?
It would be whatever explanation that you're looking for. Again, we have a process that we
you said
follow
you'll
with every
provide it.
individual
Now, let me
grant.
ask you one more question, and then I'll close. Do you think that one EPA official deciding in a single day that 9 separate programs with hundreds of grants should be terminated constitutes an individualized review? That's what one of the employees said to the court. Do you think that
I was the one who made the decision, and I made the decision after doing an individual review of every grant specifically. I personally
did not
reviewed every single grant that I canceled.
Okay. Now, in my opinion, in the time that you've led this agency, you've decimated the critical work the EPA does. You've left communities across the country scrambling with few answers. Your polluter-first agenda will have a damaging impact on American workers, families, and children for years to come. And if this is the great American comeback, then I pray for the country. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.